Hey, welcome back to Living in Minnesota. My name is Joe Carmack, and today I'm going to teach you all about new construction. We're going to talk about the process of buying a new construction home and also how much does it cost for the different options, whether you want to go custom or spec. That's what we're going to talk about right now. Okay, so let's get into it. You're gonna wanna get a pencil and paper out. I've got a ton of information that I'm gonna share with you today, so make sure take down some notes. Of course, subscribe so you can find this video again later when you wanna refresh your memory. And then also make sure, let us know what questions you have in the comments below. Would love to be your resource. So let's talk about new construction. There's really two main options. You can go with custom or you can go with spec. Now, with a custom home, let's start talking about that one first, and then we'll come back to spec. But custom builds are generally what people are talking about when they think new construction. They want to be able to go in, they want to be able to pick their lot, pick their finishes, do everything they want to make it just absolutely perfect, the home that they've been dreaming of. It's a wonderful option, but it does have some different pros and cons. So when we start with land with a custom build, you really still have two options. So you can pick your own lot that is totally separate. Maybe it's something that you bought previously, or you can just go, I can help you find a standalone lot. Or you can also pick one that's in a development, maybe something that a builder's already got. Typically, if you're gonna go with your own lot, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. You're gonna have to do a little more legwork as far as surveys and things go. We're gonna have to make sure that the land can be developed. We're gonna have to figure out what the cost is, if we gotta bring in grade, if we've gotta clear out trees, things like that. So when you pick a standalone lot, it will be more expensive. And then if we're going with a development, typically the builder's already gone in, he's bought up a whole bunch of land, maybe some farmland or something that's been converted, and then they've already got it plotted out, they've got the infrastructure in, the utilities, the roads, everything's permitted generally for the start of the development. So because they're doing it that way, they're kind of doing it in bulk, so it's going to be a lot more cost effective that way. Obviously, you'll have a little bit less to choose from as far as if you want it wooded or if you want it flat or whatever you need. But when you're looking at a development with a builder, then you're going to be able to go in and you'll see, and they'll typically have a model home. That's going to be fairly a base price most of the time as far as their lots are concerned. And then you're going to be able to pick from the lots in their development. And then you'll see that certain ones will have a lot premium on them. So if this is our little pretend development, maybe a smaller lot that's out on the entrance of the development will be cheaper. That would be, included in their base price for the home. Versus if you want, the big lot on the back of the cul-de-sac, that one might have a $20,000 lot premium on it. So the first thing you're going to want to pick out is your lot, and then if you're going with a standalone or in a development. Second thing that you're going to want to pick out with a custom build is going to be designing it. Now, this is what everybody loves when it comes to new construction because you can pick literally everything. You can change anything about the home to make it exactly what you're looking for. So with fully customs, there's really going to be two main things that you're going to design. First, you'll start with the architect from that builder. They'll typically have a bunch of floor plans that they've already got. Hundreds usually that you can start from. You can start with a one-story or a two-story or a walkout basement or everything slab on grade, whatever, from one of the layouts they already have, and then you'll start to tweak. So you'll sit down with the builder and you'll say, I want this wall moved out here, and I want this door moved to here, and I want to add these many outlets in my kitchen, or whatever you want to do. You get to customize absolutely everything about the home. The drawback, of course, is going to be the more customizing you do, the higher the cost is going to be because you've got to pay that architect for the extra time. And then they'll have to get the permits finalized after that's completed. The second thing, of course, is the finishes. This is pretty self-explanatory, but you can pick out your light fixtures, your plumbing fixtures, your flooring, your siding, every finish in the entire home. You get to pick from. You can pick from any stores. You can look at stuff online that you buy yourself. You can go to the builder's design studios sometimes, or to the certain lighting store or flooring stores that they have. Typically, a builder will give you an allowance, so just something to be aware of. A lot of people run into surprises with this one. The builder's probably going to give you an allowance for flooring and plumbing and electrical and so on. So you're just going to make sure that as you're picking your ideal things, you're staying within that budget, or you've at least mentally prepared to have an add-on once those items are totaled up, because that could be a big surprise when you were just picking the light fixtures you like, and then all of a sudden you're $5,000 over your budget for the home. That can be a big surprise. So something to keep aware of there. With both of these, you can do as much customizing as you'd like, but the cost is going to be reflected. So then let's talk about cost and time to build new construction. Starting with cost, honestly, the sky's the limit. A full custom build isn't for someone that's on a real tight budget. We're gonna talk about more budget-friendly options next, but obviously the sky's the limit there. As far as time, that's also a little bit of a variable because it'll depend on the client, it'll depend on what you're looking to do. If you take a layout that's pretty much already completed, a few quick tweaks, and then you're off and running, that'll speed up the layout process as quickly as you can design your finishes. That'll affect that. And then obviously right now with COVID and things, when they're buying building materials for a custom home, they have to go to every single supplier to get those supplies. So sometimes there can also be supply delays or with city permits and things like that. So it's a little bit more up in the air. Typically I'd say at least 6 months, maybe to a year from the time you pick the lot to the time you're moving in. 6 months is really probably the best case scenario. And then depending how big and custom you're going, potentially up to a year or something from there. During that process though, you can talk to a builder and you can say, hey, I'm thinking of spending about $700,000. I've already got the lot picked out. About how long do you think it'll take? They'll give you a pretty good idea from the time maybe you got your plans finalized to the time it's completed, and then they can give you a rough ballpark. So you can have a general idea before you start out. But let's say if you are looking for something a little bit more cost effective, okay? That's gonna be your spec home. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's say, okay, I don't have $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 to spend. I'm looking for something maybe more entry level, don't need to customize every little thing about the house. That's where a spec home is gonna be a really great option. And I will tell you, between a spec home and a custom, there's a lot of gray areas in between of what the builder's options are gonna be. But let's talk about a full spec. So this is a speculative home. Basically, it's where the builder will go in and they'll build a number of homes, assuming that someone's gonna come buy them. Okay, that's the speculative part of it. So with that, bringing your own lot isn't going to be an option. We're just talking about developments. This is again where a big builder, typically one of the national ones, like D.R. Horton or Lennar or one of these will come in, they'll buy up a whole area. They will typically have pretty similar lots. You'll see premiums on them sometimes, but it's not going to range as much generally. They're typically going to be all about the same size lot. For most developments, that might be a quarter or a third of an acre, but occasionally you will find them up to about 1 acre, I'll see. Not typically bigger than that, but you just have to come in, pick from their development. And then as far as design goes, typically you're gonna only have 1, 2, or maybe 3 layouts to choose from, and there's no customizing from there. So, when you come in, this is gonna be the development that some people will call a little cookie cutter. It can still be a great looking neighborhood, but the reason for that is because they have maybe 3 different floor plans that you get to choose from, and those are the only ones that they'll build. The reason they do that is because if they do things in bulk, it streamlines everything and it lowers that cost, and that's how it makes it more cost effective for you. As far as finishes go, every builder is a little bit different, but generally with a spec home, if the home hasn't already been built, then they may have something like 3 or 4 packages for you to choose from. So you might have, it might be 3 flooring packages and 3 lighting packages. It might just be the finish color. So you might get, brushed nickel or oil rub bronze, right? And so you get to pick from a select number of packages. Maybe you want tan finishes or gray finishes, or something like that. You want stained wood or you want painted wood. You can make those general types of selections usually, but there's not a lot of customizing. They're going to be buying those 3 types of flooring in bulk for the entire development. The entire development will have one of those, say, 3 options. And so it can actually, it sounds very limiting, like you only have so many options. But in all honesty, they've also been picked by a designer, and a lot of people actually love doing that because they can just go in and they say, I love this one, bada bing, bada boom. Custom homes can actually be really overwhelming when it comes to design because you have to pick every single thing for the entire house. That's when people will bring in an interior designer, for example, to make those selections because it can be really, really overwhelming. Spec homes, a whole lot simpler. Pick the general style of house you like, pick the types of finishes you like, and you're gonna have a great house that will be a whole lot more cost effective. So then of course that brings us last to the time and cost to build them. With a lot of spec homes, with D.R. Horton, for example, they've typically got a handful of homes in the development. They're already built, that are completely done. You don't really get to pick anything, but you can go in and say, I like this style of finishes and this type of layout, and they've typically got one that's either built or it's about to be completed. So the time for those can be very, very quick, either from moving in immediately as soon as you can close in 2 weeks to 30 days generally, because it's already built, or because they're doing things in bulk, they can generally get them built very quickly. Depending on the builder, 60 to 90 days isn't unrealistic, even from the time they start your build to having it completed, because they can do those a lot more quickly. Of course, it'll depend by the builder, by where the home's at, if they've already got the foundation in or different things. If permitting's been completed, then that can speed things up a lot. So that's a great option. Talking about cost, so with the cost of buying a spec home, this can vary quite a bit as well. But typically right now we're seeing these like mid 300s to 400,000 is a pretty good starting point. Occasionally you'll find some from less, but not right now. The layouts are really quirky that I've seen. The materials can be really cheap. So if I was buying new construction right now, I wouldn't plan on spending probably less than 400. Maybe you'll find something in the 350 range there. With a spec home, as far as cost goes, you're buying it just like a regular home. So really it's just your closing costs at the end, typically, earnest money up front and then closing. Versus with a custom home, there can be, costs due along the way. Typically the lender will finance those or the builder will, but just something to be aware of with custom homes. So specs generally a whole lot faster and a whole lot cheaper. There you go, that's it for new construction. If you'd like help finding a builder and a development, just shoot me an email and I'll put together a list of homes that are available in the price range that you're looking for. And then of course, keep going. Here's a few more videos and I will see you on the next one.